Hey guys, hope you're having a fantastic day. Thank you so much for watching Beyond Science 2. It's Mikexingchen. Throughout history, there has been many terrible emperors, brutal kings, and corrupt leaders. But then there are those who seem to be the devil incarnate. These political leaders have been known to cause horrific genocides, systematic murders, brutal wars, and reform policies that have been the worst ever recorded in history. So here are some of the most lethal dictators in the past century. We'll start this video at number 10, Kim Il-sung. Kim Il-sung was born on April 15th, 1912 near Pyongyang and went on to become a guerrilla fighter against the Japanese occupation. He also fought with the Soviets in World War II, eventually moving to the Soviet Union when he joined the Communist Party. After returning to Korea, Kim became the chairman of the People's Committee of North Korea, and in 1948, the Democratic People's Republic of Korea was founded and made Kim its premier. Under his rule, Kim ignited the Korean War, where over 1 million Koreans were killed. He turned the North into an oppressive, tightly controlled country where the people had no contact with basically any country on the outside. He scared people into believing his ideas and was suspicious of everyone and did not show any tolerance for anyone who dared to disagree with him. Instead, he placed people in prison camps and war killed him, causing at minimum 1.6 million deaths. Next, at number 9, we have Pol Pot. Pol Pot was a communist dictator in Cambodia who led the Khmer Rouge from 1963 to 1997. He served as the general secretary of the Communist Party and later became the leader of Cambodia. As he presided over a totalitarian dictatorship, he made the urban dwellers move to the countryside to work on farms and forced labor projects. His dictatorship caused executions, strenuous working conditions, malnutrition, and poor medical care. These combined caused the deaths of about 1/4 of the Cambodian population, or about 1 to 3 million people. Next, we have Saddam Hussein. Saddam Hussein was the leading member of the revolutionary Arab Socialist Ba'ath Party, and he played a key role in the party that eventually led it up to full power in Iraq. Later on, he became the 5th president of Iraq and was widely condemned for the brutality of his dictatorship. He committed ethnic and sectarian genocide and was the first to use chemical WMD on his own citizens. He caused the destruction of the entire country of Kuwait and even killed his own son-in-laws. In total, over 2 million people died because of his brutality. Number 7, Yahya Khan. Yahya Khan ruled around the 1970s and played a major role in the Bangladesh war that led to a lot of bloodshed. He was a Pakistani military leader and eventually became the 3rd president of Pakistan, and he broke up the unity of Pakistan from being the largest Muslim country in the world to eventually falling to economic and military collapse through foreign intervention. During the time of his military leadership, he allowed East Pakistan to go into rampage as the Bangladeshis wanted to be free from Western Pakistan rule. There he infamously said, "Kill 3 million of them and the rest will yeet out of our hands." The death toll from his time in power was between 2 to 12 million people. Number 6, Enver Pasha. Pasha began his career as a Turkish military officer and leader in the Young Turk Revolution. During World War I in the Balkan Wars, he led the Ottoman Empire, which enabled him to attain power. He was defeated many times as a war minister, and after his loss at the Battle of Sarikamish, he used the Armenians as his scapegoat for his failure. This led to the Armenian genocide, which is how the term genocide even came about. While in power, he caused the deaths of over 2.5 million Armenians, Greeks, and Assyrians. Number 5, Vladimir Lenin. Lenin was a Russian communist revolutionary, politician, political theorist, and served as the head of the USSR. He created his own group of Marxists called the Bolsheviks, which later became the Communist Party. The Bolsheviks did numerous things to gain control of Russia, and anyone who opposed it were killed or sent to concentration camps. During his rule, there was wartime devastation from World War II, famine, and uprising. Lenin wanted revolution, and after the Russian Civil War, the Bolsheviks won and established the USSR, making Russia the first communist country in the world. The death toll from Lenin's reign was over 4 million people. Number 4, Tojo Hideki. Tojo Hideki was the general of the Imperial Japanese Army during World War II and was responsible for ordering the attack on Pearl Harbor. After the war, he was tried for numerous war crimes, such as authorizing the murder of millions of civilians in countries like China, Korea, Philippines, Indochina, and other island nations. It is estimated that he was responsible for the deaths of over 5 million people. Number 3, Adolf Hitler. Hitler is probably the most infamous mass murderer. He was the leader of the Nazi Party and was the absolute dictator of Germany Germany, which later caused the outbreak of World War II. He was power-hungry and hated a lot of groups of people, particularly the Jewish people. He promoted values like German nationalism and anti-Semitism. At the end of the Second World War, it was estimated that he and his forces caused the deaths of over 17 million people. Number 2, Joseph Stalin. Stalin was the first secretary of the Communist Party after Lenin's death and was the leader of the USSR. Stalin launched a new economy during his rule that caused massive famine on the population between 1922 and 1923. The famine spread to Ukraine, and it was believed to be the Holodomor that was believed to be a form of attack on Ukrainian nationalism. Stalin also launched the Great Purge, also known as the Great Terror, which was basically a campaign to kill off anybody who opposed him. It is believed that Stalin caused the deaths of over 23 million people. And finally, number 1 on the list, and probably the most evil of them all, if you can somehow quantify evilness, Mao Zedong. Many people actually don't know this, but Mao Zedong caused the deaths of more people than Stalin and Hitler combined. Mao led the People's Republic of China during the time of political instability in the 1940s. During his last 5 years in power from 1949 to 1953, he killed between 4 to 6 million people by sentencing them to die or sending them to reform through labor camps. He organized execution quotas and mass repressions. He was infamously known for the horrible programs like the Great Leap Forward and the Cultural Revolution. The Great Leap Forward was done in an effort to rapidly industrialize China. He wanted to make China the premier exporter of steel, and he did this by making the people of China just make steel. The problem was, when people made the steel, they did not get any money from making the steel, and so had no money to survive or to eat. Because of that, many people starved to death. This caused the Great Chinese Famine, where many people starved to death. There were even numerous reports of cannibalism, where parents even resorted to eating their own children. This incident led to 20 million deaths. After that, Mao started the Cultural Revolution, which caused the abolishment of old customs, old culture, old habits, and old ideas. Basically, all of Chinese culture. He thought that its destruction would bring rebirth to the country, so he ordered all sacred objects and temples all across the country to be destroyed. And he ordered his followers to turn anyone in who did not agree with his ideas and executed them. Finally, there was the 100 Flowers movement. What happened here was Mao Zedong asked people to tell him how he should govern China. This gave the intellectuals and the liberals a chance to tell him what they really thought. And of course, most of what they thought were against the Communist Party's ideals. As a result, instead of listening to these people, Mao persecuted them and said that their ideas were not in line with the party, and killed 500,000 people, calling them dangerous thinkers. So in total, during his time in power, Mao caused the deaths of between 49 to 78 million people. You know what's crazy was that back then, people really thought that Mao Zedong was God. That was how he wanted people to perceive him. I remember when I was little, my parents would take me to the Mao Mausoleum, where he's laying there. His body is still laying there. And every day, thousands or even tens of thousands of people would just walk by, and a lot of them would even cry, which is astonishing to me because this is one of the most evil people in the history of the world, and he had people brainwashed into thinking he was a god, so much so that many are still brainwashed today. Anyway, I think there's a special place in hell reserved for each and every one of these guys. All right, thank you all so much for watching this video. I'll see you later.